Hi, welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center based in Westport, Connecticut. So at the center, in addition to the individual healing sessions that I do and the transformation coaching sessions, we also offer a variety of workshops, classes, all sorts of interesting things. Thank you for being here today watching our show. And I'm really excited that my guest today is Robin Tesei. Hey,
Hello,
Robin.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to make it. You know, we've been trying to do this for a few weeks now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to read a little bit about you for our audience, okay, before we start, so they can get to know you a little bit. All right, so Robin is an angel medium. She's a spiritual teacher, angel healer, and intuitive empowerment coach with over 20 years communicating with the angelic realm. And as Robin partners with the heavenly realm, she channels divine love, healing, and light through her work to nourish your soul, provide spiritual growth, and angelic connections for you. And Robin has helped transform thousands of lives through her private readings, intuitive coaching, workshops, healing sessions, and retreats. And I have hosted Robin at the Transformation Center for a couple of classes that were awesome. I've also been to one she's done elsewhere, so I definitely wanted you to be here to share what you do with everybody. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is great. So I think I want to start with just tell us a little bit about how, like, why you do what you do, how you got started, you know, what drew you to this work?
Yeah, so I always had a very strong faith in the divine growing up, and I always went to Sunday school. And then when I was a young adult, I actually used to teach high school Sunday school classes. And I always loved being of service, but it was really when I was leading the high school youth group at my church. I guided them to the Appalachia Service Project, and that's when my heart just opened up, being of service. And after that, I kept praying and praying, how can I be more of service? I just love that fulfilling feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 years later, you know, I found out. So 10 years later, I found myself going through a lot of personal challenges, a divorce. My kids were only 4 and 6 years old. I ended up raising them by myself. I was working outside the house. One of my kids had a lot of medical issues. There was a lot going on, major challenges. And as divine intervention would be, I was out with a friend, and a friend of hers appeared and started talking to me about angels.
Huh.
Now, my upbringing, the churches I went to, they never spoke about angels except on maybe one day a year. That was it. Other than that, I knew nothing about angels. So when she started talking to me about angels, I lit up, and from a deep soul level, I knew it was all 100% truth. I knew that's the little piece I was missing in my life. So she gave me this book, How to Talk to Your Angels. I read it, I sat down, pen to paper, and I got a whole page of a message that was just being channeled to me from the divine angels. And they helped me so much. They gave me such hope. They gave me great support. They transformed my life. I went from having zero self-esteem to it being built up tremendously. Their love is unconditional. And I was so excited about it and amazed by the transformations and miracles that were appearing that I would read every spiritual book I could find about angels. I took coaching from a spiritual mentor. I took as many workshops as I could find. I just learned as much as I could. And I was so excited and so passionate. It got to the point where I wanted to share my experiences, my passions, and all the tools, practices, and wisdom I had learned. I wanted to share it with others. And so that's when I created my business, Angel Happiness.
Okay, because you were doing some other career before this, and then you just switched gears because you realized this could be...
Well, it was simultaneously I was doing it. I was in corporate for 35 years. But for over 20 years, I was doing my business on the side.
Oh, I see.
So I was working a 50-hour job, and evenings and weekends I was teaching workshops, coachings, readings. It was a lot, but and I was at work in the day, like, kind of like, oh, when's the day going to be over? And then at night, when I'm talking about angels, I just became alive because that's my passion. And then more than a year ago, I decided to leave corporate 100 full time, 100%, and do this full time. But yeah, so that was my journey.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah. For full time. Yeah, but like I said, I've been doing this work in my business for 20 years.
Well, that just shows the commitment that you had to it.
Yeah.
And I love the way you light up when you talk about it. I mean, it's just so palpable.
Thank you.
I feel the energy right here between us.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's so interesting, because I didn't know much about angels either. So when I started taking your workshops, it was like, it was new. It was new to me. And I just love the way it's so accessible, the way you present it, the way you teach it.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, it's very, because they're there all the time with us. So talk a little bit about angels.
100%
Tell us,
they are.
well, the different levels that you described in that one workshop of spirits. Can you share that with us a little
I'd
bit?
love to. Yeah, so we can connect and we can communicate with anyone in spirit. We have, I call them like different levels on the other side. And literally there's a very thin veil between us and those in spirit. Our deceased loved ones, they pass over. I never like to use that word dead because they're not. They're very much alive. So we have our first realm, our first level, I say, we have our deceased loved ones. And even if they had a traumatic death, when they pass, any disease, any illness, any trauma, anything is just shed. And their soul passes over into spirit, and they are 100% healed. They feel joy, they feel peace. We're the ones left grieving. I promise you they're doing great.
Yes.
And then the next realm is what we refer to as spirit guides, and 90% are family members and 10% are friends. And they've just been evolved spiritually by work they may have been doing. And we all have our spirit guides, so family members and friends will choose when they are on the other side in spirit to help guide us, to help us in our life. So we all have that beautiful support. And then above that, we have ascended masters. And in that realm, we have like Mother Mary, Mother Teresa, Ganesh, Gandhi, Moses, figures like that. And again, we can connect to them anytime. And then above that, in another level, are angels and guardian angels. For guardian angels, the second our soul was created, a guardian angel was appointed to us. And our guardian angel never, ever leaves our side. We are literally never alone. They're with us 24/7. And even when we pass back over into spirit, they go back there with us.
Okay.
So just know you can talk to your guardian angel anytime, cry to them. They're there for support and love and guidance. And then above that, we have archangels, who are big and powerful, and they are the managers of all the angels, and they sit very close to the divine, and they hear universal and divine secrets, and they come back and forth delivering messages. And there's 15 major archangels. They each have specific roles in helping us, guiding us, healing us. They'll help us with manifesting. They each have these wonderful roles, which I love to teach in my Healing with the Archangels workshop. And and then above that is the divine. So again, to emphasize, we can connect with and communicate with anyone in spirit. They're anxiously awaiting. Because of free will, we must ask them before they can, come and start communicating with us. Yeah. It's important we ask.
Yes, and I do want to talk about that. But before that, when you were describing the different levels, I remember you saying before about how the angels weren't in human form, but all the other spirits had been, like obviously our deceased loved ones, but also the ascended masters.
Yes.
They weren't human, but the angels
are celestial, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people like to say, oh, my grandmother's my guardian angel, and that's fine to say. Your grandmother's your spirit guide, or, you know.
And how do they typically, do they communicate differently? Do the different levels communicate differently? Like, do our deceased loved ones, no, they all communicate the same
They
way?
all communicate the same.
Okay.
It's just as you're going up to a higher realm, and it keeps going up to a higher vibration. And so it's beneficial to learn how to raise yourself up to the different vibrational levels, depending on who you want to communicate with. So that's what's beneficial also about these type of workshops that I teach.
Okay.
So yes, but we can connect with and communicate with any of them, talk to any of them the same way you would talk to a friend.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Is there, like, if people wanted to do this on their own who are listening, is there something that you would recommend, a way for them to start to do this?
Yeah, so first I would say, you know, wrap yourself in the white light of the divine. How you can do that, say a prayer, listen to a beautiful meditation. That instantly raises your vibration and connects you to the divine. And then, you know, and then wrap yourself in the white light of the divine so it's a connection and it's a protection. So, you know, something simple you can say, you know, dear divine, dear creator, however you like to word it, please pour your white, healing, loving, blessed divine light through my crown chakra, down to the base of my spine, soles of my feet. Envelop me in your beautiful white light. And universal divine wisdom, please pour through my crown chakra, down through my entire being. And just fill every ounce of my being with your beautiful divine healing, love, blessings, wisdom, and white light. So that's a connection, and that's a protection. Yeah. And then from there, you could literally sit down, pen to paper, and say, okay, angels or spirits, whoever you want to communicate, you can communicate with your deceased loved ones the same way and say, I am open to and I'm allowing myself to receive your beautiful guided messages. Please come to me now. And then sit pen to paper and say, dear angels, what would you like me to know this day? And whatever words pop into your mind, just write them down. This is how they send messages, through thoughts in our minds, words they pop into our minds. Those who have their third eye, which is in their mind's eye, open, they'll send visions through our feelings, our clairsentience, right? Through our knowings, which is claircognizance, through our hearing, clairaudience. We all receive in all those ways or in some of those ways, and however you receive is perfect for you, and just write down what you're receiving. And just practice. It's like practice it every day. Most people will look at it and say, oh, that's just me. That's just, you know, myself. But if you put the writing down and go back a couple days later and read it, you're going to see it's far too loving. Like, you wouldn't write yourself that way. They're so loving, so supportive, so insightful.
Yeah. So wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds pretty simple, but like you said, it takes practice.
Yeah, practice it. But it is simple because everyone is born with intuitive and psychic gifts. And most people don't realize that, but everyone is. As children, we may have stuffed them somewhere. They could have gotten blocked just because of life experiences, you know, family values or anything. And so we can develop them at any time in our life. You can be 70, 80 years old and start to develop them. They're there.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. But so does it kind of feel like intuition when you're doing the communicating? Does it feel like that's what you're...
Yes, exactly.
Kind of feels
That's what
similar
it feels
experience.
like. Exactly.
It's just like a knowing. I mean, for myself, I don't have the clairaudience but it's more clairsentience. I just have a feeling that, like, I don't literally hear it, but I just sense it.
You sense it, yes.
But I sense words.
Yes, right. And that's the knowing. A claircognizance is the knowing. That's a part of, like, the words being dropped into your mind, but then also having that knowing. You know something, but you don't know how you know it.
Right.
You just know it.
Yeah.
That's claircognizance.
Okay.
They're clairsentient, or yes, the feelings, like you're saying, like that intuitive feelings, those gut feelings. That's all intuition. That's also how the angels speak through our bodies.
Yeah. So also, what about different signs? I know like the universe likes to give us messages in signs, like
Yes.
either an animal or something else that we see.
Yes.
Do angels operate that way as well?
Yes, they send signs on a daily basis. And many people either dismiss it like, oh, that's just a coincidence, or just don't realize it. They'll even send other people into our lives, which they call divine guidance, which there may be something we were worried about or challenged with, and then all of a sudden you may overhear even a stranger talking about the very thing you've been worried about or struggling with. And they're talking and they're literally like giving the answer of what you're needing. Or they'll bring somebody physically to you, which out of the blue may start talking to you about something that you were challenging with in your own mind and they had no idea. Other signs, the very common ones are, cardinal birds, and those are your loved ones letting you know that they're with you and they love you and they hear you, they're supporting you. Angels love to drop feathers. Deceased loved ones and angels love dropping coins. Like one time I was sitting at my desk and I was about to create a new workshop and I was asking the angels to come to be with me. I got up to get some water, came back, and there was a penny sitting there. It wasn't there before when I was sitting there before. And that was my angels letting me know, okay, we're here, let's go.
Okay, so it was just a reminder that they're here. It wasn't like a specific message for you to do anything.
It was a reminder that they were here, that they heard me, that, okay, we're here to support you and guide you. Let's go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, their messages, there's so many different types of ways to interpret signs. I do teach at Angel Signs and Numbers workshop where I go into all the signs and what they mean. So numbers as well. Angels send numbers, like people will see repetitive numbers on a register receipt, or maybe they also see numbers that they're drawn to on a license plate or the side of a taxi cab, and each number has a vibrational frequency and it means something and it's an angel message.
Okay.
And it's always an answer to something you may have been worried about or thinking about or needing to make a decision over.
Okay, so even if you don't ask them explicitly for something, they know it's on your mind?
Yes.
So we don't have to ask for I think.
Well, right. So you need to ask. Absolutely. You need to ask. It's important we ask because of free will.
Yeah.
So it's something you had been asking about, praying about.
I see.
Okay? And so then that's when they bring in the guidance and the clarity and the messages.
That makes sense. So the numbers, do you have to be well versed in numerology to be able to interpret the number messages?
No. There's a wonderful web page that I love using called Sacred Scribes. And this woman who put that together, she channeled the number meetings and she put it on there. And I also have another mentor from years ago who had channeled number meetings, and they match up.
Okay.
So, and when I have used this web page, right, because there's so many different numbers that I've been drawn to at different times depending on what's going on in my life, I would look it up and it was right on, very, very accurate. So because, numbers can go from 0 to 9,999, So you can't memorize all the meanings.
Well, right, but numerology has its own way of interpreting numbers. So I don't know if that's similar or maybe not.
Well, the easy thing, like 111 up to 999, like 111 means you're instantly manifesting. So be careful of your thoughts, because whatever you're thinking or saying, you're manifesting.
Okay.
222 means that everything's working out in beautiful divine guidance. 333 means the ascended masters are with you. 444, your angels are with you, loving you, supporting you. 555 means there are changes occurring in your life, so keep your thoughts positive and stay hopeful, because these changes are necessary, so just embrace them. And 666, this means your thoughts are too focused on material needs and to raise our thoughts to more spirituality. And then when we do that, our material needs become taken care of. 777 means you are on the right path. So yes, keep going on that path. 888 is all about abundance. It's a nice validation number of abundance of joy, peace, love, wealth, good health. 999 means stop procrastinating. There's an end to this chapter you were just on. Now start with this new project and keep moving forward.
Oh, wow.
So those are basic numbers, but there's many other numbers.
Yeah, so this is great. I'm going to have to start paying more closely attention to what the numbers I see. I do see 111 a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. So pay attention
and
to what you're
22.
thinking of at that moment, because they're letting you know you're manifesting what you're thinking or saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And if it's something negative, say cancel, clear, delete. It literally wipes it out. You have a clean slate. And then, force yourself to think of something positive you want to manifest, or say words of something you want to manifest.
So that's great. Thank you. So can you give us some examples of maybe things that you have called on angels for that have helped you a lot in your life? Is there anything that you can think of?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. They helped me and this was years ago. They helped me. I was out of work at one point and I was needing a new job. And I was working full time at the time, and I wanted to go to part time because my kids were so young, and I wanted to be there for them after school and all that. So I had been praying over it and talking to the angels about this, and I was like, I want to go to part time. I want to have that extra time with my children. I said, but I don't want to change my lifestyle. I need the same amount of money so I can pay the bills and everything. And then a friend told me about a job opening with a company that it was a Copenhagen, Denmark company, but they decided to open a U.S. office, so they needed someone to help out. And I went in there, and they liked me, and then when they said, okay, what's your salary needs? Well, the angels guided me and said, just give them the full-time salary you were making when you were working full-time. So I gave him that salary, and he goes, okay, let me discuss it with our CEO. And he comes back, and they said, okay. So I went from full-time to part-time making the same salary. So it was like, thank you.
Yeah, that's great guidance, because it's not like you probably wouldn't have done that without.
On my own, no. I would have been like, who am I to ask for that? Come on, Robin. Yeah, there's no way I would have asked. But they said, just go for it. The worst they could do is say no. So yes, it was totally by their guidance that gave me the confidence and the security to ask. And yeah, it was beautiful. And oh my gosh, so like divine guidance, when you're talking about the signs before, after my brother passed, I was so worried. I was thinking about the fact that he passed suddenly, and I wish I had time, to say goodbye. And it was going over and over in my mind. I was like, well, it was probably good for him, of course, that he died suddenly. He didn't suffer. But for me, it's like I would want to be sharing memories and stories and have that time to say goodbye to him and, give him a hug for the last time. And I was worried and going over and over in my mind. And then I was outside his condo building, and this young woman approached me. I'd never met her before. I didn't know who she was. And she started talking to me. She goes, did your brother pass? I go, yes. I go, you knew him? She goes, no, I didn't know him. I just heard of this. I was like, oh, okay. I said, do you live here? She goes, no, but I just heard of your brother passing. And then she goes, you know what? She goes, I had a sibling who passed years ago, and it was sudden. And she goes, and I was so worried and upset and grieving and thinking, I wish I had more time to spend with him to say goodbye. She goes, it was really bothering me. And she goes, years later, my father became sick, so I quit work. I stayed with him. I lived with him 24/7. We played games. We laughed. We ate. She goes, I couldn't have done more for him. And when he passed, she goes, the grief was just as intense. She goes, nothing was different. She goes, I just thought I'd share that with you. I need to go now. Bye. Never saw her again.
Oh, Robin, I'm
You have
getting
goosebumps?
Yeah.
I have immense goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah.
That's divine guidance. I had been so worried and praying over it, and they answered that for me. I was like, thank you. From a complete stranger that just appeared in the parking lot.
Yeah, so that was, oh man, I know, I'm like,
Yes.
pretty incredible.
It is.
So that's, because I was going to ask you, why is it so important that we are aware of this opportunity we have to communicate with our deceased loved ones, our angels, our, everyone, all of the spirits?
Yes, because, they were created celestial, of course. We're created to guide us, to support us, because as humans, and we get stuck in our human lives and our human minds, we need to go spiritually. We need to go looking above and outside ourselves. So we are all spiritual beings in these physical vessels living a human life. So for us to go back to our true soul essence, which is spirituality, that's when we can hear our inner voice, our higher self. That's when we hear the beautiful messages from all those in spirit. That, again, that's our true essence. That's who we are. So
it helps us to do that because, that's what we can do through meditation and different ways of tuning in to our soul and our spirit. But all of these spirits are here to help us do that.
100%, yes. And so when our loved ones, when they passed over, they're in a very powerful place now to help us, to guide us. And that's what they want to do. And they literally take on roles on the other side to do just that. So this is an interesting story. And again, it's a story about my brother, because after he passed, a lot was going on. Yeah. And when he was in human form, he played professional football, and he was very athletic. And then years after he was done with football, he decided to become a master personal trainer and just always help people to stay strong and be physically fit. And then when he passed over, I learned that on the other side in spirit, he helps those souls to become strong and physically fit, to prepare them to be born again as a human. Because going from that, all joy and peace and love and no polarities, to this very polar life is intense for any newborn baby. So he strengthens them so that they can handle it. Isn't that beautiful?
That's so cool.
Isn't it?
So it's, like not physically fit because they're not physical, but like the opportunity to be physically fit?
Well, he'll strengthen their soul and their essence and their energy so that when they are in the womb and they are born, they're able to handle the human life. Yeah.
Well, because I was going to ask you if you've been communicating with him.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He's helped me a lot, like with my children, with my parents, with my life. He's helped me a lot. And because he was so athletic, he's always like, Robin, you need to exercise. You're not exercising enough. And it's all about health, right? So, yeah.
So he's still telling you
that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's also, pen to paper, and this is why our angels emphasize we write when we're communicating, because it gives us a focus and it gives your angels a focus, because you can write a specific question. And also it's a great journal to go back and read it and review it, because there's always beautiful insights that come through, beautiful lessons for growth.
I see. So you have a record of it.
So you have a record of it, absolutely. But the emphasis here also is the angels say it gives them a focus of what you're really wanting to need an answer to, what you're really wanting to accomplish, or perhaps manifest.
Okay, so you write your questions or your desires, your goals.
Yes, write them down in a question form and say, "Dear angels, please guide me with this goal of wanting to get into this college," for example. What insights do you have for me? And whatever comes through, just write it down. It's so helpful.
Well, this is great. I'm really glad I hope all of our viewers are taking notes.
Oh, good. I hope so too.
It's very, in a sense, it's very practical information for our souls.
Yes, absolutely. Because again, we're all spiritual beings.
Yeah. So thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
And I look forward to keeping our conversations going. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to Robin. And thank you so much for everybody being with us today in our audience. And also thank you to the Westport Library, Verso Studios, for hosting us in their studio today. Thank you so much. Namaste. Bye-bye.